How is this the new Whole30? Because you have a new book coming out soon. Tell us about the changes or like what prompted you to write this new book, and let's
Yeah.
kind of go there.
So the flagship book for Whole30 was called The Whole30, and I wrote it in
Mhm.
2014 and it was published in 2015. So it's been 9 years. And that
Sure.
book was hands down our bestseller. It's gone on to sell almost 2 million copies in North America. It was made number one on the New York Times list. Like that was the book. But as with anything, I wrote it 9 years ago. I would not
Mhm.
say a lot of what I said. The book is still good, but some of the words I used, I wasn't as aware of the insidious way that diet culture kind of invades the way we talk about food and we talk
Sure.
about our bodies. The recommendations were far more rigid. It was like, you're going to do it this way. You're only going to do it the best way possible, instead of how I would talk about it now, which is like sometimes you just let good enough be good enough. And I promise that's good enough. So
Mhm.
I knew I needed to rewrite it. I knew the science needed an update. We had a
Yeah.
brand new plant-based Whole30 program that we launched in
Mhm.
2022 to allow people who don't eat any animal products access to the same experience and support and community and
Mhm.
life-changing benefits of the original Whole30, but in a way that honored their dietary values.
Mhm.
So, I knew it was time to redo it and I thought it would need an update. And it turns out I just had to rewrite the whole entire thing from scratch. And it was
Mhm.
very cathartic and
Mhm.
incredibly, it was so much harder than I thought it was. But what I have now is an entirely new book that I think is going to mark a new era for Whole30, the
Mhm.
next hopefully 10 years. That's far
Wow.
more welcoming, far more inclusive, far more respectful of different people's lived experience. The
Mhm.
recipes are far more diverse and use far more culturally significant ingredients in a way that I hope people will find very appreciative. I
Mhm.
think the book in general, the new Whole30, is going to help welcome even more people into the program and give us just another wave of those life changing benefits.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so do you have the plant-based diet in the book also? So the two versions are in there?
Yes, yes. And
Okay.
not only are they in there, but they're granted equal weight. So there's the entire original
Mhm.
Whole30, which incorporates animal protein. There's the
Yep.
plant-based Whole30, which includes no animal protein. There's recipes, about 50 recipes for each program. But then I've got a bonus guide that allows you to cross-reference recipes
Mhm.
that work for both programs that give you access to about another 30 additional recipes. And they
Mhm.
carry equal weight in the book. It's not like, here's the Whole30, and by the way, I guess if you're vegan, here's another side, program that you can do. It's like there are
Mhm.
two paths to the Whole30 and you can pick and choose.
Mhm. Mhm. Love that. Love
Yeah.
that. Being I'm vegetarian.
Y-
Ayurveda's not, you don't have to be
Yeah.
vegetarian, but I am. So I love that that's part of the program because I think, even though, a lot of people will do it just the way that it's always been with animal products in there. I think a lot of people are actually trying to make the change of, lightening up some of the animal products in their diet. And so I think this is great because like you said, it's a cross reference and then they have the option to sort of do both and not feel like they're going to quote fall off or, not be able to complete the Whole30 challenge that they're doing. Right.
Exactly. What we're seeing is a lot of original Whole30ers. They did the Whole30 with animal products. They're like, I feel great. This is fantastic. I've got a
Mhm.
baseline, but I'm curious what a more plant forward diet would feel like for me. So they
Mhm.
cross over, they do the plant-based Whole30. They rely on soy and legumes and lentils as their primary protein source. And then they compare their experience. And what it really allows people to do is dial in their diets post Whole30, what we call their food freedom, with the plant-based protein sources that they know work the best for them. So now
Mhm.
they're able to incorporate, like, I eat a lot of black beans. I love tofu. I eat so much tofu. Kidney beans don't agree with me, not so much.
Okay.
So now I'm able
Mhm.
to incorporate these plant-based protein sources in a way that lets me have more diversity in my meals. If people want to eat more plant forward, it allows them to do that. And it gives them the same structure and support to go about
Mhm.
their experiment.
That's amazing. And so how have you found that, well, sort of the new Whole30, how are you finding, the results or what the feedback has been from the community of, sort of doing it this new way?
So the book comes out in August, and I'm going to be
Mhm.
really interested, of course, on book tour and everything else to hear people's feedback. I'm getting two things. 90% of the feedback I get when people hear about some of the changes, or I preview some of the language changes, or they've followed me for a long time and they've just organically noticed, is thank you. In
Mhm.
2012, when I first heard about the Whole30, I read some of the ways that you wrote about it and the ways that you talked to Whole30ers, and I thought this just isn't for me. This isn't
Okay.
the energy I
Mhm.
need, the strictness, the tough love. Like that wasn't what I needed. I needed an approach that was more empathetic, that was more graceful, that was softer. I didn't think the Whole30 was for me, and now I think that it is. And I'm really happy
Wow.
that you've made these changes because it feels more welcoming. I also hear from some people who have followed me for a really long time who say, I liked the tough love, Melissa. That really
Mm.
resonated with me. I liked the like, this is not hard. You've done harder things than that. And there's actually a section in the new book where I reflect on the way I used to say some things and the way I say it now. And in the book, I say that is always available to you. You'll never unhear me say, this isn't hard. Of course you can
Yeah,
do this, right? You can keep that if you like it. But
right.
I want even more people to have access to these same life-changing results that you had in your earliest days of Whole30. And
Mhm.
our language needed to evolve because in my own
Mhm.
integrity, I can't imagine ever talking to someone today the way that I talked to them or myself
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
2010. It's just not who I am
Right.
today.
Right, right. And so are you finding that people are really liking the plant-based version? Are you having a lot of people subscribing to that version, or what's been sort of the fallout of that
Yeah.
plant-based
So
versus animal-based?
we've had, the original Whole30 I think is still the most popular, but it's hard to judge
Mhm,
because that one of course has been around for 15 years and the plant-based Whole30 is only like 2 years old at this point. But
mhm,
people are loving the plant-based recipes. I mean, whether you eat plant-based 100% or not, they're loving the idea of incorporating more protein sources into their normal meals, so that's great. People who have done the plant-based Whole30 have had a wonderful experience with it because again, it just helps them dial in the plant-based protein sources that work best for
sure.
them. And I think
Mhm,
with the new book, we'll be able to attract people who have maybe never heard of Whole30
yeah,
before because why would they? They're
right,
vegans and Whole30
right,
has never had a vegan program, but I think now we're going to attract a whole new audience of people who will
yeah.
discover Whole30 for the first time through the plant-based program, which I'm so
Mhm,
excited about.
mhm. And so do you have, plant-based products that are also sort of going hand in hand with this? Because I know you have Whole30 approved products and all that kind of stuff. Is there something for the plant-based,
There are
program?
some. We have a crossover list of Whole30
Mhm,
approved products that also make products that are compatible with the plant-based Whole30. So most of our biggest partners,
okay.
Nut Pods, Primal Kitchen, Siete, they all make products that are a fit for
Yep.
the plant-based Whole30. We do
Mhm,
also have a few plant-based specific products. So Abbott's is a really good example. They make a very short ingredient list, very simple plant-based protein. They make like a chorizo and
mhm,
other forms of crumble that I literally have in my fridge right now because they are so
mhm,
delicious. I cook them up at least once a week. We have some
mhm,
plant-based protein sources like Sprout
mhm,
Epic Protein or a pea-based protein that people can use to add supplemental protein to their diets. So, yes,
mhm.
we do have a cross-reference list on our website as well.